The little ring of candles had a strange mystic quality to them that made everything seem as vague and ephemeral as a hot August daydream. But it wasn't hot inside of Miss Lee's old home. Save for the flames, it was much too cold. It was a dull and dreary sort of night. Outside, beyond the boarded-up windows, Aspen could hear the wind. A tree branch knocked against the plywood as though asking to be let in. Dimly, above the sound of her heart and the creaking floorboards, Aspen could hear a faint, regular pitter-patter. It sounded like rain. Was it raining? Aspen didn't know, neither did she care. She was sealed away inside Miss Lee's bedroom with Althea, the two of them dancing amongst the candlelight. The outside world was sealed away by a sheet of plywood. Why should Aspen care about anything else? The world could fall apart around her and she would never know. She was lost in her own dream world that smelt of sawdust. But no dream lasts forever. The next evening, Aspen decided she was going to buy ice cream. It was around 8 o'clock in the evening when Aspen made this decision, at least according to the digital clock on her shelf, and it was already getting dark outside. It wasn't pitch black just yet, but the sun was slowly beginning to sink beyond the horizon, turning the sky shades of deep pink and red. Most of the stores were already closed, but the corner shop a few streets away would still be open. Aspen didn't like going to the corner shop very much. It was too small and cramped, and she always felt like she was being watched by Mr. Choudhury behind the counter with his thick-rimmed glasses and his eagle eyes. Aspen had been going to that corner shop for years now, and Miss Choudhury was always the one behind the counter. He and his corner shop were concrete and immovable, like the great white cliffs of Dover. You would have thought, after popping into his store for cartons of milk or eggs since she was 7 years old, Mr. Choudhury, I really don't know, would have learned Aspen wasn't a thief, but apparently not. He wasn't the friendliest of men. Aspen didn't think he'd even spoken to her, though she wasn't sure if this was a blessing or a curse. Aspen didn't particularly want to see Mr. Choudhury, but she'd already decided she was going to buy ice cream. Though September was closing in and the weather was getting cooler, it was still technically summertime. It wasn't so strange to eat ice cream at the tail end of August, Aspen told herself. It wasn't hot, but neither was it cold. Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there, Aspen. You can eat ice cream whenever the fuck you want, okay? It doesn't matter if it's cold. You want to eat ice cream? You got a hankering for ice cream? Just go eat it. It's fine. I don't know why you're so worried about being judged. I mean, you're a teenage girl, so that much is obvious, but yeah. It was, in the world of Goldilocks, just right. As for why Aspen had decided, while the sun was setting beyond her bedroom window, to pop into the corner shop, that was because of Althea. Aspen could still remember Althea's expression from yesterday during their dance. People always say I remind them of something or somebody else. For once, I'd like people to say I remind them of me. Althea's expression had been a mix of wistful and indignant. Her brows had been furrowed, eyes narrowed, while her irises sparkled with flames like twin lamps. Aspen could tell she'd been annoyed. Althea had shaken her irritation away a few seconds later, but Aspen was still anxious. What if Althea was still mad with her? Aspen could live with Pippa's scorn and Valkie's silent resentment, but she didn't want Althea to turn against her too. Then she really would have nobody. So Aspen decided to buy ice cream. She thought if she could buy ice cream and share it with Althea, maybe Althea would realize she hadn't meant to upset her. She hadn't meant to insult her, she was just clumsy with her words. Aspen rarely spoke, but when she did, she always said things she didn't mean, while the things she did mean stayed shut up inside her skull. There was one small flaw in her plan, however. Aspen wasn't sure what ice cream, if any, Althea liked. In fact, ice cream itself seemed childish, something served with cake or jelly at a child's birthday party. What if Althea laughed at her? Oh god. I know when I was 16, I didn't overthink food this much or think ice cream was something childish. Ice cream is just fucking good. Like, maybe if she went over with like a plate full of jelly or a bowl full of jelly, rather, the fucking jelly would just slide right off the plate. Like, if she went over with a bowl full of jelly, like, maybe then I could, like, even in a stretch in my imagination, that it would be like childish. If someone brought me some like strawberry jelly, I'd be like, thank you? This is amazing. Let's jiggle it, you know? I don't know. I know this girl is an over-worrier, and I'm a over-worrier. I over-worry all the time. But I would, even when it was back then, I wouldn't overthink food. It's just food. If they don't eat it, you eat it. Maybe she should try and buy something fancier then. Perhaps those Lindt chocolates in their bright red wrappings. Was that expensive? But no, Aspen bit her lower lip. She should stop doubting herself. Who didn't like ice cream? My fucking point exactly. She'd buy a carton of Napoleon? I know what this time. I'm not even going to read further. I know it's the strawberry chocolate and vanilla kind. Neapolitan. There you go. Neapolitan ice cream with 3 stripes of strawberry, chocolate and vanilla. There you go. Then Althea could pick out her favourite flavour. There had to be one kind she liked. I'm sure this is everywhere, but I remember that we'd just get like a big white tub and it would be like Neapolitan on the front with like the chocolate, strawberry, vanilla picture, and inside it would just be the 3. I mean that's a safe choice to go with, even though all of them are boring to me. Like, I mean, well, to be fair, my favourite ice cream is boring as well. But I feel like it's contested as well. Like, mint chocolate chip is my favourite. But like, I know some people don't like mint because it reminds them of toothpaste, but it doesn't remind me of toothpaste at all. Like, not even slightly. Toothpaste has always been like too minty, and you know you're not supposed to eat it. Like, you know you can't just swallow it. So, you know, I don't know. And the mint in the ice cream just, it's 2 totally different types of mints, and I'm sure it's not. But yeah, sorry if you heard my thing. I actually want to see if that gets picked up. Kind of does. Okay, it was foolproof. I keep going off on tangents on this. Aspen had just finished brushing her hair. She set down her brush and picked up her purse, counting her change when... Oh, she could hear the phone ringing. Maybe it was her parents. She'd spoken to her mother just a few hours earlier, but Aspen wouldn't have put it past her. Penny was every bit the worrier her daughter was. Aspen picked up her purse, stuffed it in her trouser pocket, then went downstairs. I'm coming, I'm coming. Aspen took the stairs 2 at a time, a dangerous decision given her short legs. Okay, I have long legs, so we're not the same person after all. And landed at the foot of the stairs. Her cotton socks offered no friction, and she skidded against the wooden floor. She made her way over to the phone, which was still ringing, and picked it up. Hello? Hello, Aspen? Is this you? As soon as she heard that voice, Aspen knew it wasn't her mother. Instead it was... Valkii? That's right. Aspen wasn't sure how she felt about this. Part of her was relieved it wasn't her mother because she never knew what to say to her, but another bigger part of her was vaguely anxious. What did Valkii want with her? She wasn't going to scold her for acting like a little kid at her own sleepover, was she? Please, Aspen silently entreated a god she did not believe in, anything but that. Aspen, are you still there? Oh, yes, I'm still here, I'm sorry. I just drifted off. You've always been so dozy. But though Aspen couldn't see Valkyie's face, she knew the other girl was smiling. I tried calling your mobile, but I couldn't get through. Is it broken that badly? Quite badly. Won't it turn on? Not at all. Did you try putting it in the fridge overnight in a bag of rice? I hear that helps. That's only if it gets water damaged, isn't it? One sec, I need to move in my chair because it's not comfortable at all. Let me also turn the mic gain down a bit. Okay. I thought that was if you dropped it in water. Yeah, thank you, Aspen. Oh, you might be right about that. I don't know much about fixing broken phones. I've never broken any of mine. I bet you haven't. Valkii seemed to change phones every few months, always to the latest model. Aspen had never asked because she knew it would be rude, but Valkii, or to be more precise, her parents, probably spent a small fortune on electronics. Valkii had never once broken her phone, not only because her phones were worth much more than Aspen's old brick, but because she'd never had the chance. You should really get your phone fixed, you know. I know. I wouldn't be able to cope without mine. How can you stand it? I don't have many people to message. Aspen shifted from foot to foot, the house phone heavy in her hand. Why had Valkii called her? There must have been a reason. Look, There was a deep inhalation of air on the other end of the line. I know it's been a few days, but I want to apologize for what happened. At your sleepover, I mean. Huh? You really mean that? I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. Oh, Aspen frowned. She never imagined Valkii, of all people, would call to apologize. Valkii didn't really do apologies. She always acted like she was above them. At least that was how Aspen viewed Valkii. Maybe she got her wrong. Aspen didn't know Valkii for as long as she'd known Pippa. She and Pippa had been friends since primary school from the tender age of 5. Aspen hadn't met Valkii, however, until her 3rd year at secondary school, when the two girls had been sat together in English. Her 3rd year at secondary school, so when she was in year 9? So they'd only known each other for like 3 years-ish? Sorry, I need to move again, even though I know that my chair's being loud. Aspen had been a little afraid of Valkii at first. Valkii always looked so bored and disinterested with the class, with her books, and particularly with her. Aspen tried to keep her distance. She sat as far away from Valkii as she could, while maintaining a British veneer of politeness, and hadn't said a word to her. And then, one day, Aspen had forgotten to bring her pencil case to school. She'd asked Valkii if she could borrow a pen, and one thing had led to another, and the two had started talking. Valkii wasn't quite as frightening as Aspen had first feared, though she was slightly intimidating. At least Valkii had a good sense of humour. Her observations were cutting, and her impressions of Mr. Garland, their hapless English teacher, had made Aspen giggle in guilty amusement. So Aspen and Valkii and Pippa were friends, but Aspen had always felt a distance between her and Valkii. There was an invisible wall between them, and no amount of sleepovers or trips to the movies had managed to bridge it. It felt like Valkii was holding Aspen at arm's length, but maybe it was the other way around. Maybe in actuality it had been Aspen who had been pushing Valkii away. Maybe. I was just playing along with Pippa's silly games. I thought it might be interesting making you go inside the house. I wanted to see what it was like. I didn't stop to think about your feelings. I guess I was being selfish. Another sigh. I should have known it would make you feel uncomfortable. I mean, that's where you found... Valkii's voice dropped to a whisper. That dead woman. Oh, Aspen's fingers gripped the phone tightly. That was a long time ago. It was only 6 months ago. I know something like that would upset me, even if you have nerves of steel, which I find somewhat hard to believe. You get upset about things too? Well, obviously, don't we all? Aspen wasn't sure. She hadn't billed Valkii as the sort who could feel sad. Valkii always ignored the people who made fun of her teeth and her name and her mother's accent. But maybe it was, like ALTHEA had said last night, just an act. I should have stepped in and told Pippa to knock it off. She was being insensitive. Pippa's like that. Yes, I know. She can be fun to be with from time to time, but she takes things too far. You had every right to be mad at her. Thank you, Valkii. I had a feeling you would come through in some way or another, and I'm so glad you did. I don't know. I hope she doesn't hate me now. She went so strange and quiet, I think I might have hurt her feelings. If you did hurt her feelings, it's because she knew you had a point and she felt ashamed. You saw how her face turned red. Pippa's face is always red. Well, true. But I'm sure Pippa doesn't hate you. You're her friend. She'll get over it. I don't know about that. Pippa's got good at holding grudges. She kept flicking those solder balls at Colin in tech. Because he was always making fun of her hair. You didn't talk about her hair, you talked about her attitude. Though you didn't really talk, you shouted. Aspen felt her stomach sink. Did I really shout? That's right, it was quite impressive. I didn't know you had it in you. Neither did I. It was all thanks to ALTHEA that Aspen had been able to say what was on her mind. If she hadn't met ALTHEA, she wouldn't have stood up for herself. The old Aspen would have lain on the floor if Pippa had asked if she could walk all over her. Maybe the new Aspen was different. I know it's hard for you to speak your mind. Sometimes it's hard for you to speak at all. It took you weeks before you talked to me in English. Because you always look so cool. I'm not really. I'm bad at saying what I think sometimes too. I wanted to be your friend, but I wasn't sure what to say. Really? I've always thought you were a nice girl. Valkii paused. Aspen couldn't see her, but she knew Valkii would be tapping her nails against her desk, as she so often did. Anyway, I don't blame you for what happened. I know I went quiet back then, but it wasn't because I was angry at you. It was just so awkward. I made it awkward. No, Pippa did. She's the one at fault. But I'm sure she'll talk to you again. You just need to give her some time. I hope so. Starting college will be kind of rough if she doesn't want to acknowledge my existence. What if we're in the same class? Then you'll have more of a chance to make up with her. Don't worry, I'll be with you too. I'll try to help if I can. Do you want me to talk to Pippa on your behalf? You can try, but she's so stubborn, like a goat. Just don't tell her you said that. Aspen smiled despite herself. Maybe she had messed things up with Pippa, but she wasn't entirely alone in this world. At least she still had Valkii. She had ALTHEA too. I don't know, honestly, I don't know why you'd want ALTHEA. I know they're trying to make her this like mysterious, confident, like girl who, you know, has problems at home, but I'm just not feeling it. I'm just not feeling it. I don't know why. Speaking of which, sorry Valkii, I have to go. You do? So soon? I need to buy something from the store. Is it important? It is a little important. She wanted to buy ALTHEA some ice cream, and what was more important than that? Though Aspen was thankful for Valkii's reassurances, she didn't really want to think about Pippa right now. Pippa, with her skin that always seemed a little too pink and her curly red hair, was far too mundane. That's a bit mean. Like, I know she was a cunt to you. Sorry for using the C word there. But, like, come on. Oh, now I've met this ethereal goddess of a girl. Pippa is so mundane. That's garbage. What the fuck? She was part of Aspen's boring, ordinary life, and her argument had been similarly boring and ordinary. Oh, come on, I hope you get a slap in the face that, you know, fucking ALTHEA is boring as shit too. She just likes to make herself seem more interesting than she actually is. ALTHEA was different. She was special. When Aspen was with ALTHEA, it made her feel special too. I mean, that's nice and all, that's lovely and all, but ALTHEA's, you know, whatever. The plastic carrier bag rustled in Aspen's hand. The bag was filled with a carton of Neapolitan ice cream she'd purchased beneath the watchful gaze of Mr. Chowdhury? I don't know. And 2 silver spoons she'd snaffled from her kitchen drawer. Though the bag wasn't heavy, Aspen could still feel the pressure of the plastic straps against her bare right hand. She had just hoped ALTHEA liked her present. What if ALTHEA raised her eyebrows and laughed at her? Aspen felt her face flushing, though the wind wasn't really that cold. Still, she tried to tell herself she couldn't turn back now. She wanted to make amends, and this seemed like the best way. If she laughed at you, take the ice cream and piss off back home and just eat it yourself. Just like mix it all together and have some ice cream soup. That's what I always do. It tastes so much better when you like mix it. I'm not even just talking about this ice cream. I don't actually. It would probably taste kind of nice. I think I've done it before with Neapolitan ice cream, where you just mix it all together. It tastes kind of nice. Like you get like a little tinge of strawberry, and then you'll get like the chocolate, and the vanilla is just vanilla. It's basically just there as like a base, I feel like. But like I had mint chocolate chip the other day, and not the other day, it was like a week ago maybe, and I took it out and then I mixed it in a bowl, and man, it's so smooth and nice. Like, you don't have to let it melt that much. I mean, let it like not be frozen so much anymore. But then, like, I mean, honestly, I just go to town on it straight away and try to start like doing it, because it will get there eventually, and it's so nice. I recommend it 100%. It's not entirely like liquid. It's not liquid at all. It's still thick and ice creamy. It's just so smooth and nice, and oh my god, I recommend it. I'm sure people, like bazillions of people already do this already, but damn, it's so good. It's so good. Okay, Aspen stood there for a few moments, rooted to the pavement like a tree, and stared at Miss Lee's boarded-up house. The sky was a dark velveteen blue, and the large pale moon hung above the roof, the same shape as a penny. The stars, partially obscured by clouds, glinted high above her head, no more than tiny pinpricks. The bag hanging from Aspen's right hand brushed against her thigh. The plastic rustled, bringing Aspen back to her senses. She wasn't going to make any progress if she stood there, immobile like a shop mannequin. She had to move. Yes, the ice cream is also already melting, so... She wanted to see ALTHEA. Aspen set off along the side of Miss Lee's house. She pushed the creaky wooden gate open and walked down the narrow pathway that led to the back garden. Soon she found herself surrounded by a tangle of tall grass and those slumped, hunchbacked, paired trees. This time, Aspen didn't pause to examine the house, and neither did she feel afraid. She'd been there too many times to be scared now. The eerie house had become almost normal to her now. It was funny how quickly one's perceptions could change. Aspen approached the empty kitchen window fringed with broken glass. The carrier bag bumped against her leg once more, and the coolness of the ice cream carton bled through the plastic and the fabric of her trousers. She shivered. She hadn't taken more than 2 steps to the window, fingers reaching for the wooden sill, when... Hey, where are you going? I'm down here, silly. Aspen blinked. She heard a voice that sounded soft and feminine, distinctly teasing. It was, of course, ALTHEA. That's my name, least it was the last time I checked. Today, or tonight rather, ALTHEA wasn't waiting for Aspen in the kitchen, and neither was she in Miss Lee's bedroom surrounded by flickering candles. Instead, she was lying in the garden. There was an old moth-eaten picnic blanket spread over the choppy grass. The edges of the blanket had been decorated with tassels, but some of them had become unpicked and were starting to fray. Aspen wasn't sure where the picnic blanket had come from. Was it one of ALTHEA's, or had she liberated it from some corner of Miss Lee's home? But the origin of that mysterious blanket wasn't the most important thing right now. It was the girl who lay atop it. ALTHEA, who was wearing the same white dress she'd worn during their previous encounters. The back of her head was pressed against the blanket while her hands rested against her stomach. One of her legs was raised, the knee pointing in the air, while the other leg lay flat against the ground. She'd kicked off her black flats. Her legs, clad in sheer white tights, were exposed. Though Aspen looked, she couldn't see ALTHEA's shoes. Maybe they'd been swallowed by the wilderness. What would happen if ALTHEA lost them? How would she get home? But Aspen supposed it wasn't such a big deal. Black flats were 10 a penny, and anyway, Aspen wasn't entirely sure if ALTHEA had a home to go to. What if she vanished into the ether when Aspen's back was turned? When it came to ALTHEA, it seemed almost possible. The moon illuminated the planes of ALTHEA's face, making her glow. Her eyes were lined with shadows, but her dress was bone white beneath the milky white light. Her skin reminded Aspen of freshly fallen snow. All of a sudden, Aspen was reminded of a book she'd had when she was younger. It was a book about flower fairies working through A to Z of the alphabet. Each drawing had been done in soft watercolors, the light and soft shades bleeding through the lines to create a blurry effect. ALTHEA looked just like one of those fairies, minus the gossamer wings protruding from her back, which would have made lying down uncomfortable. In other words, she was perfect. What's wrong, silly? Cat got your tongue? No, I was just... Aspen ducked her head and bit her lip. I was just surprised, that's all. I didn't expect to find you outside. I like to keep you on your toes. I wouldn't want you getting complacent. Complacent? Thinking you can pigeonhole me. I can't stand that. So you'd rather confuse me? Yep. I mean, the world is a confusing place. Why should I be any different? I guess you're right about that. But it would be easier, thought Aspen, if ALTHEA could be a little more straightforward. Why was she always trying to make her guess? So, what are you doing? Isn't it obvious? If it was, I wouldn't have asked. Okay. If you want to know, I am sunbathing. Sunbathing? Aspen's brow furrowed. Sunbathing had been a popular activity among the girls of Aspen's school. Tan skin had been a fashion trend for a while, and girls would spend their weekends lying on the Scarborough beach in bikinis trying to catch the sun's rays before it slipped behind the clouds. When no sun was forthcoming, the girls would go to the local Boots and buy fake tan instead. Okay. Some of the girls had looked nice with their tans, fake or otherwise, the pretty girls who knew how to apply makeup and had matching Jane Norman bags. Other girls had looked strange and streaky, with darker patches like blemishes standing out starkly against their thighs and chests when they got changed for PE. Aspen had never tried fake tan. She was used to being pale, and the bronzed, healthy look was far too bright for her. It would make her look like a what's-it. Same. I am hella pale. I am extraordinarily pale. And I've never tried fake tan, and anytime I tried to tan, I haven't tried in a really long time, but I generally will burn. I'm not even a redhead. Makes no sense. But this, Aspen reflected, wasn't sunbathing. It couldn't be. The sun isn't out right now. I'm using my imagination. It can do wonders, you know? But it won't give you a tan. Not with that attitude. I don't understand. Alright, then I'm moonbathing instead. Happy? Moonbathing. Aspen tried the word out on her tongue just to see if she liked it. It had a strange, almost mystical quality to it. While sunbathing was an activity enjoyed by many, moonbathing was completely different, like an instruction pilfered from an old witch's potion book. When you've picked the hemlock in the dark, bathe it in the moonlight for 3 days to further imbue it with power. Do you go moonbathing often? Quite often. I like it. Isn't it scary in the dark? I'm not scared of anything. Other people should be scared of me. But Althea was smiling and Aspen knew she was joking. Maybe. It was hard to tell. Do you go moonbathing alone? Well, yeah. Nobody else would be mental enough to lay down here with me. I wouldn't mind. Oh? Are you saying you'll keep me company? If you want me to. Heh, then maybe you're mental too. Mental? I can't think of any other reason why you'd want to spend time with me. Looking at the sky isn't exactly interesting, you know. I'm not sure about that. Aspen looked up at the moon. It was round and full and white as milk. Maybe, thought Aspen, if she lay beneath the moon with Althea, she too would be imbued with magical powers, if only for a few minutes. A few minutes was enough. Aspen had never once felt like she or the world she resided in was particularly fantastical. Not since she was a child, at least, and when she had been a child, she'd been too busy being scared of everything to play make-believe games inside her head. For once, Aspen wanted to feel magical too. I think looking at the sky would be interesting, if I can do it with you. No, stop, you're making me blush. Althea rolled her eyes, but Aspen could see she was smiling. That dimple in her right cheek was back, softening her expression so she looked sweet and unassuming. And I brought snacks. Snacks? You brought ice cream. Snacks, huh? For me? For both of us, I thought we could share. Well, aren't you a peach? I didn't think you'd buy me anything. I never asked. I know, I thought I should make it up to you for saying some thoughtless things yesterday. I was afraid you were mad at me. If you did say anything thoughtless, I've already forgotten. Besides, I can't be much meaner than you. Wait, what? What'd that say? Besides, I can be much meaner than you. Forgotten? Was that really possible? Althea had looked so upset yesterday, bordering on angry, that Aspen had been sure she touched a nerve. Had all her worrying been for nothing? Well, I still brought snacks. What is it? Ice cream. On a cold night like this? It isn't that cold, it's still August. Right at the end of it. But, now that you've mentioned it, I kinda want to eat ice cream too. Do you like it? Who doesn't like ice cream? Althea gave Aspen a withering look as though she'd asked the stupidest question in the world, and Aspen laughed softly in relief. So her gamble had paid off. Althea was right, who didn't like ice cream? So, can I sit down? Be my guest. Althea sat upright on the tartan blanket, and Aspen took a seat beside her. She placed the plastic bag on the blanket and opened it, revealing the tub of Neapolitan ice cream and 2 spoons. For you. She handed one of the spoons to Althea, who accepted it with a smile. Thank you, Jeeves. Jeeves? You brought me food. Doesn't that make you my servant? I was hoping for friend, actually. You don't need to hope for anything. We're already friends. Right, that's right. Aspen wasn't used to having friends. She hadn't had many of them during her life, other than Pippa and Valkii. Her newfound friendship with Althea felt more than mere friendship, however. It was as though they were linked with a mystic bond infused by the moonlight with magical properties. Aspen's face flushed pale pink despite the balmy weather, and Althea giggled. I was just teasing, but maybe you really are a peach. What do you mean? You've gone as pink as one. I can't help it. Why not? Do you have some kind of infection? Is it something I should know about? No, it's just, being with you. Oh, I see. Do I unsettle you? Sometimes, but not in a bad way. When I'm with you, I just feel kind of funny, that's all, like my heart. But this explanation was sounding rather sappy. Embarrassed, Aspen shook her head. Oh, it's nothing. Forget I said anything. Unfortunately for you, I have a pretty good memory. I remember each and everything you've said, and I'm not going to forget it. I wish you would. Well, I won't, so there. Althea stuck out her tongue. Aspen sighed at this childish display. But despite that, part of her wanted to lean in closer and capture Althea's tongue with her mouth. Aspen's body tensed. Her face, which was already pink, flooded scarlet. Where exactly had that thought come from? Aspen was friends with Althea, yes, but these weren't thoughts friends typically had about other friends. She'd certainly never longed for Pippa or Lackey in such a way. In fact, the idea was almost laughable. But Althea was different. Althea was strange and funny and interesting, and every second spent with her felt like a second divorce from the real world and its real problems. Okay, you can't just fancy somebody because you think they take you away from the real world. Because that's not going to last forever. She will become your reality and she will merge with reality at some point. Will you still fancy her then? Or will you not, because she no longer takes you away from the real world because you made her a part of your reality? This shit bugs the shit out of me. It's that, what is it, the manic, what is it? Pixie girl, manic pixie girl, or whatever, that thing where like a girl's really quirky, but that's all the guy cares about. Yeah, it's annoying. Being with her felt like falling down a deep rabbit hole, and maybe that was why Aspen's heart wouldn't stop pounding. A little perturbed by her own thoughts, Aspen turned her attention to the carton of ice cream. She prized off the lid with her fingers, revealing its contents to the moonlit sky. 3 large strips of chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla, which were already starting to melt. Yes, damn right they are. The strawberry was maybe a little too pink, like a smear of lipstick, and the vanilla was more yellow than white. But Althea didn't seem to care. She clapped her hands together, her eyes lighting up. Ooh, it looks good. Do you really think so? I just bought it from the corner shop. I prefer my ice cream to be as unhealthy as possible. I especially like it when it's already started to melt. Oh, hell yeah, Althea. Ah, me too. Then we have a lot in common. Althea raised her silver spoon and dipped it into the vanilla. For a few minutes, the 2 girls sat on the blanket, not talking while they ate. It wasn't a cold night, but the ice cream was cool enough to make Aspen shiver. The spoon clinked against Aspen's teeth. Artificial strawberry, that was her favourite flavour, filled her mouth, numbing her tongue. After a while, Aspen felt a twinge in her head. She winced. She shouldn't have eaten quite so much quite so quickly. The ice cream wasn't going to go anywhere. Althea saw her look of discomfort and grinned. Brain freeze? A little. Well, that's no good. I don't want you getting sick. Althea peered inside the carton of ice cream. There was still around half left, which looked softer and gooier than before. Maybe we should stop now. Probably. You can take the rest home and put it in your freezer. Huh? Don't you want it? As a souvenir from this evening. Althea placed the lid on the ice cream carton. The lid snapped into place with a dull snap, and Althea nodded in satisfaction. It's fine. You can keep it. But you're the one who bought it, right? I guess. Then take it. I've already had too much. They're both so pretty. Like, why does she think she's so, like, whatever? I don't know. Althea pushed the carton of ice cream to one side and lay back down on the blanket, her hair pooling around her head and her hands on her lap. Aspen soon followed suit. They were so close to one another their shoulders were almost brushing. And their hair really was. Aspen's hair was long and dark, whilst Althea's was long and golden. Their hair tumbled across the blanket in whirls and coils, strands crisscrossing each other like overgrown ivy. The thought that some part of them was touching, even if their bodies weren't, made Aspen's stomach tingle, though she wasn't sure why. I'm not going to explain it to you. You're 16. Maybe it was because of the ice cream. Are you lactose intolerant? Because if not, I don't think so. She shouldn't have eaten so much. Look, you get a stomachache and that hurts. You tingle, feels kind of good. Not the same thing. Okay. Hey, Aspen. What is it? Do you know what any of the stars are called? Not really. Oh, I see. Then let me teach you. Althea pointed one finger up at the sky. Her skin looked paler than ever, and even more papery when framed about the dark blue backdrop. You see that cluster of stars up there? 5 of them. Aspen strained her eyes. She could see, vaguely, where Althea was pointing, but she couldn't see the supposed cluster. All of the stars looked like one big cluster to her, all sprinkled across a canvas. The stars didn't need names. In fact, they seemed to defy them. They looked oddly mystical, suspended in the sky like that. But Aspen didn't want to seem stupid, and she didn't want to let Althea down, so she nodded her head, not that Althea could see it, and said, Yeah, I see them. Good. That bright star, the one at the very top, is called Circe. Circe? She's a witch in Greek mythology. She was a beautiful enchantress, and she turned a lot of men into pigs. Sometimes I wish I could do that. Althea laughed softly. Her laughter danced through the still night air, light and cool like tinkling bells. And the whole constellation is called the Witch's Cauldron. You see how it makes a circular kind of shape? I think I see. And the strange part was, Aspen really could see. In the beginning, she'd been saying what she thought Althea wanted to hear, but Althea's voice painted such a vivid picture, Aspen really could see it. She couldn't see the celestial cauldron, though slightly obscured. She could see the celestial cauldron, though slightly obscured by clouds, picked out in the sky by the stars like an astral map. And over here... Althea pointed her finger at the sky once more. That group of stars there is called the Grieving Widow. You see how it looks like a woman kneeling with her hands on her face? She's waiting for her husband to come back home from war. But he won't come back. Not ever. All of a sudden, Aspen was reminded of Miss Lee. Poor old Miss Lee, who'd lived in this house for more than half her life. She'd had a husband once upon a time, but Aspen had never met him. Her parents had never met him either. He must have died long, long before they moved in. Maybe when Miss Lee still looked like a Margaret. Maybe she stopped looking like a Margaret after his death. Did her husband die? Maybe he died. Maybe he just got bored of his family and ran away with a hairdresser called Debbie. Debbie? I was just using my imagination. Oh, I see. And what constellation is that? Aspen pointed at another cluster of stars that shone, albeit weakly, beneath the moon, most of their luster eclipsed by the moonlight. Althea studied the constellation for a few moments, frowning in thought, before she replied, I believe that constellation is the Unicorn. Unicorn? That's right. Do you see the two stars that make up its horn? I think I see it now. That constellation's special. You can only see it during certain times of the year. Rumor has it can only be seen by pure, untainted maidens. I don't know if I'm pure or untainted. I'm the one who found Miss Lee's body. Oh, that doesn't mean anything. Alright, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.